In the glamorous and often tumultuous world of pop music, few stories have captured the public's attention in the same way as the relationship between Chris Brown and Rihanna. The love story of this famous couple was not only a teenage romance full of passion, but also turned into a tragedy that shocked the entire world. Born on May 5, 1989 in Tappahannock, Virginia, Chris Brown was discovered at an early age for his musical talent. His career took off in 2005 with the release of his hit single Run It, which catapulted him to the top of the R&B charts, quickly becoming a youth icon. With his singular appeal, exceptional dancing skills, and powerful voice, Brown earned a special place in the hearts of millions. He was the embodiment of the American dream, a young man who went from singing in small clubs to being a worldwide sensation. On the other hand, Rihanna, born on February 20, 1988 in St. Michael, Barbados, was a rising star, but had already achieved iconic status in the music industry. Her debut album, Music of the Sun, released in 2005, began to establish her on the music scene. However, it was her second album, A Girl Like Me, which included her mega-hit Umbrella in 2007, that cemented her as a superstar. Rihanna was not only known for her unmatched vocal talent, but also for her bold style and charismatic personality that appealed to the press and fans alike. Chris and Rihanna's story began to take shape in 2005 during the recording of Umbrella. As they worked together, the chemistry between the two became undeniable. As the song became a worldwide hit, so did their relationship. Rumors of a romance began to surface, and by the end of that year, the couple was spotted together on several occasions, sparking media interest. However, at the height of their relationship, the first signs of tension were already beginning to appear. Although Chris initially appeared to be a loving partner, problems began to arise in his behavior. During their relationship, Chris was known to be jealous. Anecdotes from close friends reveal that, on several occasions, he displayed possessive behavior towards Rihanna, even when interacting with other artists or at public events. In interviews, he always flaunted love and devotion, while in private some began to notice disturbing changes in his character. As the relationship progressed, Rihanna began to receive unprecedented media attention, which also affected Chris. Rihanna's fame shone brightly, and although he was successful, at certain times, it seemed that the pressure of being in a relationship with such a famous woman influenced his behavior. Daily arguments began to intensify. They were under the constant public gaze, and with it came comparisons, criticism, and media pressure. Things began to change drastically as the Grammy Awards approached in 2009. The couple had been planning to attend together, a night that was meant to be a celebration of their love and the success of their careers. However, just before that night, a significant incident occurred that would change the course of their lives. On February 8, 2009, after leaving a pre-Grammy party at the Beverly Hilton Hotel in Los Angeles, Chris and Rihanna were in his vehicle when an argument broke out. The tension that had been building for several months reached a boiling point. Rihanna had reportedly found a text message on Chris's phone that led her to suspect he was in a relationship with another woman. The situation turned violent. The details of the assault are shocking. Chris, in a fit of jealousy and rage, began beating Rihanna, leaving her with visible bruises and deep emotional wounds. News of this attack quickly leaked to the press after Rihanna sought medical attention, and within hours, the story became a media phenomenon. Following the incident, both artists' careers were significantly affected. Chris faced an incredibly intense backlash and was arrested, while Rihanna received an outpouring of support from fellow artists and the public. Despite the pain she was feeling, Rihanna began to be seen as a symbol of resilience and female empowerment. The way she handled the situation inspired many. However, the abusive relationship did not immediately redeem the place of fame. As days turned into weeks and weeks into months, the aftermath of that fateful incident began to set its roots in their lives. Chris and Rihanna unwittingly became a living lesson in the dangers and complexities of toxic relationships. In our next segment, we'll delve into how abuse came about in Chris and Rihanna's relationship. We'll explore how Chris's behavior changed, the special treatment Rihanna received from him, and who supported her in getting out of that destructive relationship. The relationship between Chris Brown and Rihanna began as a passionate love story, surrounded by the joy that comes with youth, success, and public admiration. However, beneath this shiny surface, a torment was brewing that was probably not visible to the public. As time passed and the lights on the stage shone brighter, Chris's dark side began to emerge, transforming a relationship that promised happiness into an emotional nightmare. The first signs of worrying behavior began to emerge in 2007, during the height of their relationship. Chris, who had risen to fame quickly, was beginning to feel threatened by Rihanna's success. Although they were both prominent artists, Rihanna was increasingly projected as a true superstar. Her popularity was increasing by leaps and bounds, while Chris struggled to keep up. This competitive environment, fueled by media attention and the pressure to present a perfect image, was the perfect backdrop for Chris' possessive behavior to emerge. One of the first significant anecdotes to emerge after the February 8th incident was a story about how Chris reacted to Rihanna's professional relationships with other artists. On several occasions, friends close to the couple reported that Chris became extremely jealous when Rihanna worked with men on music videos or collaborations. On one of these occasions, when Rihanna was filming a video with another artist, Chris arrived on set unexpectedly and displayed possessive behavior, interrupting the recording, which left Rihanna humiliated in front of her colleagues. These episodes of mistrust and jealousy became increasingly common and began to affect the dynamics of the relationship. Rihanna, a person known for her strong character, initially tried to calm these situations with dialogue, but Chris, instead of listening, closed in on himself and became more distant, creating a destructive cycle. Rihanna's friends, aware of Chris's behavior, warned her about the dangers of being in a relationship where possessiveness was evident. But she, in love and committed, believed that love could solve everything. Meanwhile, Chris often found himself surrounded by glowing reviews of his fans, but growing insecurity set in. When Rihanna won awards, appeared on magazine covers, or was praised in interviews, Chris was distant. In 2008, while Rihanna was on a meteoric rise thanks to Umbrella and other hits, he released his own album, Exclusive. Although this work received positive reviews, subtle competition was in the air. This pressure began to translate into unhealthy behaviors. It was in this atmosphere of insecurity and competition that the first signs of violence in the relationship began to appear. Whenever an argument broke out, Chris could become explosive. Instead of having a calm conversation and resolving the issues, he would explode in anger. Once, during a supposedly harmless argument about an event, Chris broke an object in the room, sending a clear message that his temper was out of control. Rihanna, although sensing the danger of this, frequently attributed Chris's outbursts to the pressure he felt from being a successful artist. As the angry outbursts became more frequent, emotional abuse became part of the daily narrative of her life. Chris, in his jealous rages, would begin to belittle Rihanna, making demeaning comments about her appearance, how she dressed, or how she interacted with others. Rihanna, for her part, tried to remain calm, convinced that she could help Chris overcome his insecurities. However, this mindset came with a cost. Her own self-esteem was beginning to erode. Despite the fear that was beginning to loom over her, Rihanna continued to see Chris as a person who was hurting and in need of help, a view that many abuse victims share. The climax of the problems came on the tragic night of February 8, 2009. As both stars were preparing to attend the Grammys, the argument escalated into a violent confrontation. According to later testimonies, that particular night was marked by a tense atmosphere. Rihanna was excited to attend the Grammys, but Chris's insecurity had resurfaced in the form of jealousy over a message he found on her phone. It was the spark that ignited an already pent-up storm of emotions. It is rumored that when Chris argued with Rihanna, she tried to remain calm, saying that there was no reason for him to be like that. However, the rebuke only served to intensify Chris's anger. The assault that followed was brutal. The images of his battered face in the media were heartbreaking, but to understand the impact of it all, it is important to examine the path that had led to that night. Following the assault, Rihanna was taken to a hospital with visible bruises, and news of the incident soon became public. The reaction from the media and the public was overwhelming. Many fans were horrified by the abuse Rihanna suffered, and quickly took a stand in her favor. Social media was flooded with messages of support and condemnation for Chris, emphasizing Rihanna's position as a victim of domestic violence. For Chris, the consequences were immediate and severe. He was arrested and faced multiple assault charges. Over the next few days, a media scandal erupted that rocked the music industry. Once the up-and-comer of R&B, Chris went from beloved icon to publicly condemned. The backlash against him was fierce, and many of his contracts and opportunities were jeopardized. At the same time, Rihanna began receiving an overwhelming amount of support from fellow artists, the public, and organizations fighting domestic violence. Although she went through a harrowing experience, her bravery in confronting her pain inspired many women to speak out about their own experiences of abuse. Following the incident, Rihanna had unconditional support from friends and family. Her best friend and assistant, Melissa Ford, has been a fundamental pillar in her life, helping her make difficult decisions and providing comfort in critical moments. In addition to the help of her close circle, Rihanna benefited from an empowering environment by beginning to raise awareness about domestic violence and promoting dialogue about the issue in the community. At the moment of her greatest vulnerability, Rihanna decided to distance herself from toxic situations and seek professional help. Therapy and psychological support became crucial tools for her healing. Through this process, she began to redefine her image, not only as an artist, but as a strong and resilient woman. During this time, the way she dealt with adversity was profound. She used her experience to redirect her pain and transform it into art. Her music began to reflect her internal struggles and ability to overcome. Later albums, such as Rated R and Loud, became compositions that explore themes of grief, resilience, and empowerment, resonating with millions of people around the world. In the music industry, Rihanna came to be seen as a symbol of strength. She began speaking publicly about domestic violence, becoming an advocate for victims and using her platform to raise awareness. She helped destigmatize the issue and create a space where others could share their stories without fear. For his part, Chris Brown faced his own personal struggles after the violence. Following the incident, he stood trial and was sentenced to 5 years of probation and more than 1,000 hours of community service. However, his recovery was more complicated than expected. He encountered emotional difficulties and an enemy within himself who was still battling his demons. Despite the unlearned lessons, Chris continued to pursue his music career, although he faced several setbacks. His public image gradually disintegrated. Swinging between good and bad decisions, he experienced several arrests and legal problems in the following years, which only worsened his reputation. Instead of seeking genuine help, he often presented himself as a party person, addressing his problems in a superficial manner. Chris Brown, whose childhood was marked by abuse, found himself trapped in a cycle that was difficult to break. His impulse control and anger management issues manifested themselves repeatedly, affecting both his career and personal life. Trying to redeem himself, he made efforts to publicly apologize, showing remorse, but actions spoke louder than words, and his emotional scar remained exposed. However, Chris's relationship with Rihanna was always a shadow that haunted him. As he tried to rebuild his life, he couldn't help but let the event encapsulate his identity. The painful reality of the abuse between them never completely faded. The magnitude of the pain that both Chris and Rihanna experienced sparked an important dialogue about gender-based violence, control, and manipulation in relationships. While Rihanna began to heal and grew into her role as an advocate for women's rights, Chris struggled with his own issues, learning too late the lessons that should have been learned before the tragedy. The story continues to resonate in popular culture, offering not only entertainment, but warnings and lessons about love, trust, and recovery. In the next part, we will explore how Rihanna managed to break free from this toxic relationship and how she used her experience to empower others and rebuild her life, while examining Chris' attempts to redeem himself in a world that had judged him for his actions. After the brutal incident in February 2009, Rihanna found herself at a crossroads. The decision to end her relationship with Chris Brown required not only courage, but also a deep self-confidence that, although it had been shaken during their relationship, began to be reborn through pain and adversity. With the support of her friends and family, she began to rebuild her life, moving away from the cycle of abuse that had trapped her. One of the first decisions she made was to come to terms with the emotional impact of the abuse and work on her self-esteem. She complemented her healing process with therapy, where she was able to address her experiences and recognize the value of her own life and well-being in a controlled and safe environment. This professional support became crucial. Rihanna learned to recognize the patterns of abuse and understand that she was not alone in her struggles. Interacting with other women who had gone through similar experiences gave her the power to move forward. Rihanna also felt the urge to speak publicly about her experience with domestic violence, becoming a symbol of resilience. As the public delved into the pain of her personal story, she began to receive not only criticism, but overwhelming support from fans who idolized her for her bravery in confronting her past. She made important collaborations with organizations that fight against gender violence, ensuring that her pain served as a catalyst to raise awareness about an issue that affects millions of people around the world. Rihanna decided to channel her pain through her art. Her album Rated R, released in November 2009, was an artistic statement of her suffering and her transformation. The songs on this work reflect the raw emotions she was experiencing. Themes such as pain, betrayal, and recovery are intertwined in a work that captured the attention of the world. The ballad Russian Roulette became an anthem of her internal struggle and her fight for emotional survival. Plus, Rihanna didn't stop at rated R. She buried her pain in music and continued to outdo herself with albums like Loud, 2010, which included hits like Only Girl in the World and What's My Name. This album marked a new beginning for her, representing not only a change in her sound, but a new chapter in her life. On Loud, the confidence shines through again, and references to self-improvement are evident. The transition from vulnerability to empowerment became a journey that resonated deeply with her vast fan base. Rihanna became more active in the industry, developing her identity as a businesswoman and philanthropist. With her musical success, she also launched her cosmetics line, Fenty Beauty, which became a phenomenon, celebrating diversity and inclusion in beauty. This new facet of her career not only helped her regain her autonomy, but also offered a positive approach for women to feel empowered. Collaborating with other artists and participating in film projects also marked a milestone in her career. Rihanna's ability to use her personal experience as emotional fuel in her music translated into acclaimed performances and projects that strengthened her public image. Her bravery inspired others to share their stories, and Rihanna became a beacon of hope for those struggling with and overcoming abuse. Meanwhile, Chris Brown was facing a very different path. His personal and professional life became a journey full of ups and downs. Despite rehabilitation efforts and a proclamation of his desire to learn from his mistakes, the shadow of the 2009 incident haunted him relentlessly. His image had been tarnished, and although he attempted to get his career back on track, the repercussions of the event were ever present. In an attempt to show growth, Chris Brown underwent therapy and participated in treatment programs for substance abuse and anger management. During subsequent interviews, he expressed remorse for his actions and the pain he had caused Rihanna. However, doubt about his authenticity was palpable. Many fans were skeptical of his ability to redeem himself, given the recurring cycle of legal troubles and altercations that continued to mark his life, including arrests for assault and drug use. A high point came in 2012 when Chris and Rihanna were spotted together again, leading to a mixed reaction in the media and among their fans. At this point, it seemed like the relationship might be rekindled. The pair were spotted at public events, leading many to question whether they had moved on from their past. However, relationships, especially those that come from a place of pain and abuse, are complicated. Despite the remaining feelings, reuniting was not the path to redemption that many had hoped for. Although some of Chris Brown's albums, such as Fame, 2011, and X, 2014, received positive reviews and included hits, the shadow of his personal history became a significant hindrance. The struggle to maintain his image, balance his talent, and constant public judgment led him into a spiral of self-destructive behavior. Career interruptions, bouts of anger, and repeated controversies continued to amplify the negative perception many had of him. As the years progressed, Chris Brown sought a way to reconcile his public image through music and self-expression. However, the struggle with his problematic behavior and violent episodes did not go away. In 2016, he was accused of assaulting a woman at a party, which put his violent behavior under the microscope once again. The internal struggles continued to shed light on the lack of attention he had given to his own emotional and psychological treatment. Despite his troubles, Chris found support in his music, which allowed him to move forward with his career. However, he never achieved the same level of respect and influence that he had before the incident. His situation became a reminder of the impact that abuse can have on the lives of those who experience it. The culture of violence, misogyny, and toxic love became a relevant topic in discussions about their lives. In contrast, Rihanna became a symbol of overcoming and empowerment. Her journey from pain to success redefined the way women who have suffered abuse are perceived in society. The story she shared and the music she created resonated with millions of people, helping to illuminate a path to healing for those facing similar situations. Over the years, the impact of their story influenced the way pop music addressed issues of toxic relationships and gender-based violence. Rihanna and Chris Brown, though on opposite sides of the spectrum of experience, left a legacy that goes beyond their time together. They became a symbol of the cycle of abuse and redemption, reminding the world that relationships are not just about love, but also about respect, understanding, and caring for each other. The story of Chris Brown and Rihanna is a complex one, and while one chapter has been closed, the lessons continue to resonate. Relationship violence is a sensitive topic, but their experiences paved the way for greater conversation and understanding about this issue. For Rihanna, her journey represents a transformation from vulnerability to strength, a testament to the power of art to heal, grow, and help others. Chris, for his part, must continue to deal with his past and the repercussions of his actions, still finding a way to balance his talent with the responsibility that comes with it. Both have left an indelible mark on pop culture and the social discussion about love, abuse, and recovery. The story of their relationship is a reminder of the importance of self-esteem and support, and what it truly means to have a healthy relationship. The fight against abuse continues, and the voice of those who have suffered grows ever louder. The story of Chris Brown and Rihanna is a powerful reminder of the complexities of love and the devastating consequences that violence in relationships can bring. While Rihanna emerged from her pain to become a symbol of empowerment and resilience, her journey resonates as a beacon of hope for those facing similar situations. She used her voice and her art to address issues of gender-based violence, inviting others to seek help and heal. On the other hand, Chris Brown's journey underscores the difficulty of redemption. Despite his talent, the shadows of his past persist, reminding us that true change requires sustained action and a genuine commitment to personal growth. His story highlights the importance of responsibility in relationships, where love must be based on respect and equality, not control and abuse. As society moves forward, Chris and Rihanna's story invites an open dialogue about education and awareness around gender-based violence. The evolution of both artists illustrates that although love can be complicated, there is always a path to recovery and hope. With each story shared, the voices of those who have survived are raised, encouraging a cultural shift that prioritizes emotional well-being and relationship health. Ultimately, Rihanna and Chris' story is an invaluable lesson in the power of resilience, reminding us that there is always room for healing and transformation. It is a call to build relationships based on true love, where respect and freedom prevail.